Oh, oh yeah. Good evening, everybody. Hello, this is Phil, the Issues Guy, with a very special, a quickie cast. That's right. I'm going to get you in the back seat of my car and give you a little quickie. I wanted to test out the little YouTube Hangout thing and test out a little brand new type of segment to do a quickie cast. Now, I did those Breaking Bad post episode follow up things, and they worked really well. But if I can't find a co-host for a post episode of something I want to do a post episode of, I'm just gonna do a quickie cast where I just talk randomly about what happened in the episode. Not randomly, but just get it all out there now. So welcome. If this is your first time just checking in the video, I appreciate it. You can check out all my other stuff at issuesprogram.com. Do that. And also look for me on a little thing called the Couch Masters as well. I'm dancing around because I'm looking at myself on camera. Let me give myself some evil, satanic things because we're talking about The Walking Dead, so Satan should be part of the equation. So tonight was the return of The Walking Dead after the mid-season hiatus. And it came back with an episode called Inmates. So let's get into my quick update of everything that happened in this episode. So the episode starts out with Michonne, and it's at the end of the very last part of the season finale, like when she stabs the shit out of the governator. When they stab the shit out, and you see what happened at the prison. I wanted to call it the farm because it's kind of like what happened to the farm. The same sort of thing happened to the prison, where eventually just the walkers ganged up and ate and smelled and walker pooped everything everywhere. So we start off there with Michonne doing her thing, dealing with the post-mortem of walking around seeing the scene of the battlefield. And you see her get two new pets and cutting off their arms and cutting out their jaws so they can't hurt them, but to ward off other walkers. And at that point, we also see the headless horseman of the headless Herschel Walker, which she allows to kill him. So then we go off to Rick and Carl hunting. And Rick is a fucking mess. I mean, maybe he's not as much of a mess because of what happens at the end of the episode, but we'll get to that eventually. But he is a mess. He's having some problems. And you see that with Judith dying, or potentially dying, as we assume, or I assume Judith is dead, that the humanity of these two have just gone down the fucking toilet. That whatever was left inside of him when he was being Farmer Rick on the prairie, growing random things and killing pigs, or having a pig named Babe and playing house with it. Whatever he was doing with that pig, I don't want to hear about, but it was some sort of farming bullshit going on. And that's all gone. And now we've just got this weird, angry mess of a human being that could somehow beat the hell out of Tyrese, but couldn't handle the governor, the Governator. I keep wanting to call him the Governator. Arnold Schwarzenegger ruined the word governor for me forever, because every time I say it now, I want to say Governator. Well, that's really beside the point. So Rick is all gone. He got the crap beat out of him by the governor, and if it wasn't for Michonne stabbing him in the back, as we saw at the beginning of the episode, and dealing with all this. So right away we see the setup of this episode as this part of the season is going to be different, where it's not everyone together, it's everyone in different places. It's kind of Lost meets The Walking Dead. And this week we have the Sawyer story, but there's some crossover with the Kate story. No, this week we have the Michonne and the Rick and the Carl part. So it's all kind of dedicated towards them. So like I said, we get back to Rick and Carl, and they're walking through a town looking for a place to rest, and they're clearing out clearing out different houses and different like stores and trying to get food and other kinds of supplies. And Rick is just he's really fucked up, and he's really in bad shape. He's all bloody. He's talking funny in a weird deep voice, and Carl is kind of messing with him. Everything he has to say, Carl's calling him on his bullshit and kind of going hey, and talking really major teenage or young man teenage angst going on here. He's like, oh, come on, there's no walkers in here. I can yell, hey, shitface, fuck brain, asswave. See, I can swear on TV and I'm a kid. Look. So they cleared out the house, and Carl's like looking through the rest of the house while Rick lies down and sees what kind of supplies. And Carl looks so pumped to see video games. I know after the long zombie apocalypse, I couldn't wait to see video games too. And then I was like, he should go play the video games. That's what he should do. But then the person I was watching the video with was like, no, there's no electricity there. And I'm like, oh, is there electricity? But I guess there's no electricity. She's right. There is no electricity. And that sucks. So that's why I got all pissed and picked up the TV and decided to use the television wire to tie up the doors and save them from potential death of a walker coming in. But he forgets it and he makes a wise ass comment to Rick about how he's tying a knot and Shane taught him that. You remember Shane, don't you, Rick? You remember the guy that tried to kill you and you killed him instead because he was trying to kill you? Do you remember that, you dumbass, Carl? Carl's a dumbass. Carl is a big ass dumbass. Dumbass. so so he forgets. It's people forget things in these type of shows. They forget what happened yesterday. And Shane was a bad person. He showed himself to be someone that wanted to kill Rick. But Rick is really gone. I've never seen Rick this bad. And neither one is really taking care of themselves. Judith was the last of their humanity. And as I said, it seems like this episode was going to follow Rick and Carl with touches of Michonne. And at this point, at the very beginning, this is like my thoughts while I was watching the episode for the first time. I figured that Michonne would probably find them at the end of the episode. I mean, otherwise, what's the point of having her in this episode? Forget her. Get her the hell out of here. We don't need her if she's not going to find them. Otherwise, it's just stupid. And for a while, I was texting back and forth with my friends like, oh, look, did you see what's happening on The Walking Dead? And when I was doing that, he was like, why the hell are we having a Michonne episode? She better find Rick. And we did. So we come back from the commercial break and we go to a Michonne flashback to her with her original pets. But it's sort of like a dream / fantasy of reality type thing where everything's in fast forward. We see her having a baby, that she did have a baby with this guy and his brother or best friend. I'm not sure about all that. So they had in the fantasy kind of was a flashback of what really happened, but everything happening really, really fast, like going from the point where everyone was together and happy and they were going to have a life together and look at the baby, blah, 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 to the point of probably all the shit that happened right before those two people were killed. Oh, you're a swordsman, you'll be fine. Oh, but you don't get a chance to really see what happened, but you get the hints of a lot more depth of Michonne's character. A lot of people's complaints about her last year. Another reason why these new showrunners are fixing all the mistakes from last year. They did it with the governor story. They're doing it with this now too, with actually allowing you to get to know Michonne and showing that she's actually something besides just a woman with a ninja sword. So, bam, she wakes up to screaming. Over to Carl, a good, well, as John Candy says in Spaceballs, what a dissolve. Over to Carl waking up, and he's more sensible than Rick at this point, and he gets himself 3 bowls of cereal, and he's eating it looking for his crazy dad to wake up. His dad doesn't wake up. Rick doesn't wake up. At this point, Rick's not moving, and it starts to become a potential possibility, even though because Rick's the star of the show, he's not going to kill him right away in the season premiere of the episode. It's just not a good time to kill him. But still, he's not moving, and it seems like he could be dead. And he goes, and Rick's in really bad shape, whether he's dead or not. He doesn't look like there's any way he's going to be conscious and seeming normal by the end of this episode, unless it flashes forward a long time, because he's looking really bad. And Carl starts freaking out, trying to wake him up, getting his attention. He screams and screams and screams, and just as he's screaming, we get something that actually gets me. The walkers start banging on the door. And Carl goes outside and tries to, and we get what we saw in the preview for the season. We saw this little section of him backing out the walkers and trying to do something smart, but in protect himself from his natural instinct of dumbassery. But his dumbassery comes out as it should, as it usually does in the dumbass of us all. Inside all of us lives a small little dumbass, and Carl gets a little sloppy and doesn't look behind him. And, of course, another walker comes up behind him. Dun, 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 dun. What if Carl dies right now? It's not going to happen. Carl's not going anywhere, man. I'm going to put on this cheesy little thing on my face right here, this weird mustache thing. Oh, no, it's the thing for my head. And it is I'm a prognosticator, and I'm saying Carl is not going to die right there. And I knew it. I knew he wasn't. Ooh, I'm a kitty. I'm a kitty now. Why am I using these stupid? I shouldn't be using these things right now. They're just too much fun and too easy to use, and this is a visual medium, so I have to show myself to be silly. So Carl is a dumbass, and he's getting sloppy, and we go to another commercial break. Back again, back to the Walkers, a fight with Carl to the death, who see if he can be the bumbling hero and somehow win. And he uses his gun and he shoots a bunch of walkers. I bet not attracting attention to anybody with the big giant gunshots. Of course not, idiot. And he throws up, which is gross. And it was disgusting. And you gotta love him just picking up the hat again and trying to be like a modern day Indiana Jones. Why can't he just get rid of the hat? I understand it was a part of the comic book, but I don't think it works in the television context. I think it just makes him look stupid. But that's just my perspective. Maybe I'm just stupid. I mean, I could be. So, so after that point, Carl defeats them, and he just he shows himself, even though he gets out of the situation, to be completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and he goes, "I win," and then goes calmly afterwards, "Cool." Like show, I think a big part of this episode was, and I'll get into this in a second, but the big part of the episode was the parallel between the kid in Carl versus the killer. And seeing both sides of that and seeing where he fits on that spectrum of killer versus crazy person versus kid. Well, a kid is a crazy person, but you get the point. So we go back over to Michonne walking with her new pets in the midst of walkers, more walking, and she sees another dready zombie, which looks a lot like her. And almost to the point where Stephanie says, "It was that her mother? Like who's that woman? Like what's going on with that woman?" And you don't know if it's made up inside her mind, if she's imagining, if she's projecting herself, looking at a what if scenario that could have put her in that same position right there, if she didn't quite make it. And then right when she turns away, a different walker's there in its place, and it's this sweet looking girl that had changed into a walker. And you get a very surreal moment with Michonne, some deep surreal stuff that you don't usually see on The Walking Dead. It's saved for different kinds of shows. And again, I really need to applaud the showrunners for taking the show into different directions and really making it have a lot more substance to it. So then we go back to Carl and Rick, and Carl telling Rick, as I scratch my nose, "Oh, my nose itches on camera. I'm scratching my nose on camera like a city boy." So we go to Carl telling Rick, passed out Rick, that he saved him, and that he's angry that Rick became a farmer and didn't protect Judith, and he was not a good enough leader to protect Mom and Herschel and Glenn, and everyone was counting on him, even though there was a council that was handling things perfectly well, and that he should have stopped the governor, and blah 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 blah. "I'd be fine if you died." It's the equivalent to a teenage kid going, "Dad, I hate you. I'm leaving the house now because you took away my car keys, and I hate you now. You're a piece of shit." Same reason why part of the reason why I don't ever want to have kids, because one day that kid's just gonna turn around to you and tell you they hate you. As sweet, that's why I like dogs and animals, because I mean the animal might scratch you sometimes if you fuck with it in the wrong situation, might show you that it's angry in that rageful, feral kind of way. But when it really comes down to it, you know, they're a lot more they're a lot more friendly than kids when they reach the mid-teenage years. Then they just become buttheads. So we go from there to a commercial of a new Kevin Costner movie. I don't know if you're in your area, you got it, or you're fast forwarding through it, but I'm predicting right here that that movie is a great success. Oh, there's no way on earth that a modern day Kevin Costner movie could fail. So back to Carl, who was out and about the neighborhood, still with a gun, being totally smart, carrying a gun for a weapon, because that won't attract any attention. Nothing quiet. Quiet won't do it. Don't do it. Don't try to be smart, you dumbass. So he's going from house to house. He finds a house, breaks in, finds a lot of cool supplies, and tries to break down the door and runs into the door and falls on his ass. It was a pratfall, and it was supposed to be funny, but I don't think that was quite as funny as you got a couple scenes a little bit later that were more intentionally hilarious. But that scene, which was trying to be funny with him, it just it it didn't work for me anyways. It was kind I thought it was kind of pointless. I mean, maybe they were trying to show that he was still a kid and couldn't do the things that Rick could do or some of the older guys could do, which is breaking down a door. But still, I thought they could have done it in different ways. And I think they illustrated it enough in other means that they didn't need to make a comedic thing. I don't know, maybe that was an outtake that got put in where because they were like, oh, we got to throw that outtake of Carl running into the door because that was kind of funny. Side story: I was at a party at my 13-year bar mitzvah party, and I was at a part. They were running around doing silly, crazy kid, running around. I'm chasing you, and I ran straight into what I thought was a completely open sliding glass door, and ended up being that the glass was still closed, and it was just a really well cleaned door, and I smacked right into the glass and cracked the glass. Yeah, but it was horrible. I had to get picked up from the party, and because I had a concussion. Yeah, it was horrible. I never lived that down. It was reasons that I got to be very very sloppy, and reasons why if I ever live in a house with a sliding glass door, I'm never going to wash it. So it can be plenty dirty, so I'll never run into it, or I just won't run around towards a door, which is probably the more likely outcome than never cleaning it. So back to the Walking Dead. I can't go on rants. This is supposed to be quickie gas. So Carl is in the house and he's looking around for different supplies and he sees something. And we don't know what he sees at first and he looks up and then they flash to it and it's pudding. It's lots of pudding. And I mentioned it before, but this episode's all about the parallels. Another one setting up where you see the killer and the kid and a child with pudding in video games. And at that point, I hoped I saw by the end of the episode him eating pudding while he was playing video games. And again, I mentioned this, and again, someone said to me, listen, there's no electricity in the zombie apocalypse. And I got pissed off because that would really upset me. I couldn't do without the electricity. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not really kidding, but that wouldn't be the biggest problem in the zombie apocalypse. It would be the lack of toilet paper. I mean, is there enough toilet paper? Would they stop printing it? And eventually, would it just stop? I mean, you got to think about these things. I do, and maybe I'm wrong too, but it's part of life. Part of life to think about these things now. You have to take into account the zombie apocalypse. So so he's in the house and he finds the big giant pudding and he opens the door and he looks into the bedroom of a door and he sees a dead bird. What does the dead bird mean? Do we have any symbol? Is it symbolic of something else? Is it just a dead bird? The guy who lived there previously had a parakeet that died of that turned into a zombie or something. I don't know. To me, again, I'm assuming it had something to do with the bird out of the cage, child away from father type thing, is how I took it if I was reading into it and they were going for something deeper. Whether they're going deeper or not, we don't know. So, if you guys could hear that, I ate some garlic earlier. Woohoo, stinky. So, so after that, he's walking by, and we actually get a moment that scared me. We get a jump out, like a classic horror movie jump, and it got me. It jumped me up, and got me to jump in my seat. Of Carl walking past the door and a zombie just poking through the door. It was like, whoa, hey, ho, and it jumps and it starts attacking him and Carl's in trouble and he's out of bullets and it shows that he's completely useless in a fighting situation if he doesn't have bullets from a far distance. He shows his age and he does the only thing he can do, which is run away. And I mean, this scene, he is scratched. I mean, not scratched. He is thrown down to the ground. This walker is like 2 inches away from his leg. And it occurs to me that if this is a secondary character, the secondary character would be dead. It seems like a lot of our main characters have like zombie-proof, like Jedi gravity forces around them that just can cause them to not get bit or scratched in very easily very very dangerous situations that is very easy for them to get a simple little scratch or something. I don't buy it. I call bullshit that Carl didn't get scratched there. But whatever. So he picks up the chalk, gets out of the room, does a little whoop 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 whoop, whoop, little Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowls going around in circles, gets out of there and is able to trap the zombie in the walker in a room and locks him in the room and writes with chalk. What did he write? I have it here somewhere. He says, "Do not go in, Walker. Got my show, but didn't get me." And then he sits on the roof of the house while the Walker's banging, trying to get out, and eats a whole 8 ounces of pudding. Good for Carl being a kid. The kid wins there. Now, celebrate for now, dumbass. Back to Michonne for more walking and pondering, and and she sees the Dreddy again, and then she just goes out completely crazy Samurai Jack and kills like hundreds of walkers. It just goes ape shit, like Captain Caveman, like wow. And I want pudding. I gotta say, I want some pudding. We have a listener right now who is adding that, gotta say that the best dream sequence since Dream a Little Dream. Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. Excellent. And I have to kind of agree that Dream a Little Dream had some of the best dream sequences. I guess it has to, being called Dream a Little Dream. I want pudding. So back to our last segment. We got pretty much Michonne's whole backstory real quick and concise. Yeah, no, completely. It got her. I was mentioning that in general, this episode had some more artsy type things than The Walking Dead usually does. So so we go back to Michonne brooding after the commercial break, and Carl waking up as Rick is not moved. Is Rick dead? Is Rick a walker? What could happen? And it's in the dark, so you can't really see Rick's face. And then you really get to see that Carl loves his daddy and can't be without him. He's getting emotional. His dad looks like he could be possibly a walker, starts climbing towards him, clawing towards him a little bit, and Rick and Carl goes to shoot him, and he's like, I can't, just kill me, get it done, do it. And Rick can barely breathe, and he grabs him, and uh, d- he's like, I love you, son. Save yourself. If I start to die, get out of here. Save yourself. And Rick seems like he's really, really bad at this point. Like he might never come back. There's no way within by morning he's going to be sitting up and okay. So we see that Michonne the next day is catching up to them, and and d- as much as I love what they did with the character of Michonne today, I really do wish they started with her flashbacks earlier when we first were introduced to her when she was on the road with Andrea. It would have eased the tension of her coming into the cast where a lot of people feel like she was very too hollow. They should have done more with her character. And she comes out of the restaurant or wherever she was, and this is just a funny moment. There's this stray walker walking down the street, and she just slices him and kills him. It's great. It was awesome. So we go back to Rick, and we see suddenly Rick is fine. He's just talking to him. All that's wrong with him is he has this weird deep voice. Hi, everybody, come, Carl. Real deep voice, and they talk about Rick giving him fatherly advice. You need me. You shouldn't have gone out there. Blah blah blah. And they seem to work out their problems a little bit with the whole Judith thing. They talk about they have like a deep connection sort of thing where I guess we're supposed to assume at this point that Carl and Rick's issues are put to rest now. Dun- Dunsies. Dunsies. I like that. And Carl's like, he compliments him. At least you got some more supplies. And Carl goes, "Well, I got some more supplies, but I got some extra stuff too, but I didn't bring it with me." And Rick's like, "Whoa, what you mean?" Like I set up to it. It's set up to like a really cheesy joke. And then he goes, "Well, I gotta say, I go." Oh wait, sorry guys. 1 second. Okay, I'm ready now. So, what'd you get? Well, and he goes, Dad, well, I got some pudding, 8 ounces of pudding, and I ate it all. Oh, that's not what I wanted. 8 ounces of pudding, and I ate it all. Yeah, exactly. The dun dun joke. It's joke time at the Apollo here. And right at that point, we see Michonne totally catching up to them, and she's at the house. She bumps into the pudding can, which is also pretty funny. And, the door knocks. Rick looks through the peephole with the guns, get ready to shoot whoever's coming through the door, and he sees it's Michonne, and he turns to Carl to make sure he can be a kid one more time, and gives him a sort of, oh hey, it's the Easter Bunny at the door, and goes, it's for you, Carl. Oh, what did you say? Did you say it's for you? And that was it. And then we got scenes from next week, which saw that next week is going to be a Tyrese, Maggie, and some of the other ones. Who knows if it'll probably be everybody but Daryl Dixon, I'm assuming. I think Daryl will probably be his own episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the very first quickie recap episode of Breaking Bad. I was going to say Breaking Bad. I did almost say it. The Walking Dead podcast, or the Walking Dead episode recap. Yeah, that easy for me to say. This is my first one, so I don't quite know how to say it yet. So here we go with the Walking Dead episode recap, and this is it. I'm done. I'm going to bed. I'm going to wake up in the morning and go entertain more people with more silliness, and maybe be back to stream for you two later. So everybody, thank you for watching. Check out all my stuff at issuesprogram.com, and also add the Couchmasters on Twitch, and check out all Couchmaster stuff too. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.